Hey now. Oh, there we go. On the air is on the air. Sully, little Tommy, Rusty Nailz. Welcome. Or as Russ likes to say, welcome.
Welcome. How you doing?
Remember the America Online? Oh yeah, we're distant.
Yeah, let's demonstrate the 6-foot social distancing we've had.
Yeah, back it up, Chris, so you can see this is good. We are socially distanced here.
That's good.
Except the problem is that my span is like 7 feet. Tommy's span is
We'll give you more room.
is not 7 feet.
Yeah.
There you go. Great to see you, boy. I will tell you, we got a ton of email about Shotgun Tom.
Yeah.
And about Steve West. And you can continue to contact us at On The Air SD. And of course, Tommy's cell phone number is, Russ.
Here we go. Hot dog, I 812. That's hot dog, I 812.
Speaking of your cell phone, you have the greatest black book. Who's the most famous person in your phone?
Famous person on my phone.
In your phone, do you think? Like famous name?
Me. Got to go with me, Bob.
Most famous person on my phone has either got to be Steve Forbes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Mayor Faulkner.
Wow.
K. Falk.
Or Anthony Sullivan, the infomercial guy.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what I'm
That's
talking
cool.
about?
Oh,
I'm Anthony Sullivan. This'll clean up misses.
Yeah.
That guy.
Yeah.
No relation.
None.
Exactly. What about you? Who's the biggest name? Like Brad Pitt?
geez.
Do you have like Brad Pitt?
This is a big
Who's
one.
the biggest name?
He's got some huge.
I have well, I don't throw anything away. And I put it in my phone immediately and I back it up. I got
Hoarder. Sorry.
I had both President Bush.
You have President Bush in your phone.
Yeah. And I have
I've actually heard Tommy say the words, I got to go. I've got a bigger name on the other line. He's actually said those names.
And Jack Nicholson.
You have Nicholson's phone number?
Yeah.
Wow,
and
have you ever texted him right now?
Let's go him right now and go, hey, how'd you like to come on the show, Jack?
Yeah. You know what?
Thought we might do that.
can.
Can you?
No way.
Could you text him?
Okay, don't. I'm
Russ
too
doing
excited.
a bad Jack Nicholson.
I don't mind calling him on here
Yeah.
live.
Wow, for a
Would
little
you
one?
really?
I'd do it.
Could we
Tommy.
do it?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Tommy, I just have to say this right now. I love you.
Yeah, no kidding.
You know what?
I grew up listening to you, little Tommy, and I stood in line for. Wait, that's Shotgun Tom's screen.
Hey,
Never mind.
speaking of listening, I can't wait to have Gina the Latina right there in that chair. I have a lot to ask her.
Yeah, Geena the Latina from the Geena the Latina and Frankie V morning show on Channel 933. And I will tell you, we are in the same building every morning. There she is.
No kidding.
Fantastic. And and we've been in the same building for 20 some odd years. And the interesting part is when you'd think that all of us radio stations, and you're the same thing, in this building, that we would get to hang out.
No.
And the problem is, we're all on the air at the same time.
Yeah, we're
all taking a break at the same time. And it's like, honestly, you get to spend 2 seconds.
You're either running to the restroom or on your way back drying your hands.
I've known Gina for 10, 15 years, and we just walk on by the hallway, and that's it. We just say hi. That's why I can't wait to have her on. And after Geena the Latina, Anna Laurel from KUSI.
Fantastic.
Oh, the pride of Mumbles.
Yes.
Yeah, the one anchor there that refuses to interview me on KUSI.
And the one anchor that
I've even been interviewed by Mark Mathis.
Hey.
Yes. So I would like to have
There she
Anna
is.
interview me at some point.
She's a Southern girl.
And plus she's very well prepared.
Yes.
And not to say that everyone's well prepared, but I like to I want to see.
I worked with Anna down in Fort Lauderdale.
I'd like to. No. I would just like to. I like it when they pose questions at me, and I would like to look up and say, I got nothing. I don't know. Right. I don't know what's going on with the economy.
Yeah.
Very excited to have Geena Latina. Can I also say real quickly, thank you, KUSI, for all of the love that you're giving this band and all the video that Tommy's putting up on the Good Morning San Diego. And
Dude, who produced that?
Curtis Matovich, our assistant director, floor director, editor, composer, keeper of keys, and from whom all blessings flow, Curtis Matovich. He's right there. Show him. Dude, is he on video
Give it up for Curtis.
Yeah, I mean, fantastic.
And in case
there he is.
Great video.
Look at it. Curtis edited. Curtis, come shove your face in.
how do you do
Get over
that?
here,
That's
Curtis.
the question. If anybody has ever tried to edit video, there's Sully at home, there's a drummer, there's a thing.
Those TVs are wallpaper in one of the offices here at the studio, and Curtis made a video out of it.
It's incredible.
Unbelievable.
It is
Curtis
good
Matovich.
work.
Thanks, Curtis. Appreciate it. Good stuff. Curtis Matovich.
Does everybody smell that? I think it's an Emmy for editing.
I do too. All right, coming up, Geena the Latina.
Really?
From the Geena the Latina Frankie V Morning Show, Channel 9.
Yes.
We'll be back in a second. Stand by.
Come on, Gina.
I'm in the presence of greatness, and I'm not talking about Rusty or Hall of Famer. What's your name again? Little Tommy Sublime. Oh my goodness, on the air, little Sully.
Little Sully, big Rusty.
By the way, that's never been said
Little Sully.
in the history
That was
of the world.
That was your birthday, actually.
Great to have you along, and I'm very excited because, as she will tell you,
She, her?
when you work with somebody you and I have worked together for a decade. And don't know jack about each other.
I know, because we just see each other in the hallway. We say hi, we're busy and go to our own.
Isn't that amazing?
That's it.
And Tommy the same way, right? I mean,
yeah.
you know who these people are. I follow you on social media.
Yeah.
My daughters are huge fans of yours,
thank you.
and you know, it's like they ask about. I know what kind of car she drives.
Yeah.
And I know what time she gets there.
Yeah.
Isn't it sad how we all know what kind of car everybody drives because we see
Yeah.
them pull up in the
There
parking
comes
lot?
Gina. She just pulled in. Yeah. What kind of car do you drive, by the way?
I have a.
Don't say.
I'm just wondering.
Well, let me say this. Let me say this. I'm so excited to have Gina here,
Yeah,
and here's why.
Yeah.
I really don't know about her. I know of her. I know she's iconic in radio, in my opinion.
you.
I think she's the reigning queen in that iHeart hallway.
1,000%. And
Yes.
she was Woman of the
Thank you.
Year here.
Yes.
I mean, just
Wow,
so. First of all,
I need to come here more often.
Wait, hold on.
That's right.
let's bring her back to the gentler time. The year. God, I can't get this wrong.
What is it?
I'm calling it 75
What?
For her? Who?
for you.
Can't be for her.
It was a gentler time.
You must have been.
Were you born in San Diego?
No, I was not born in
Crap,
75.
forget all this.
Listen to me. Okay, here's
I was
the
going
pose.
to give you a full-blown deal about you being born and raised
Gina the Latina.
Well,
Grew up
South
in the-
Bay in
Yeah.
San Diego in
Well, no.
1976.
No,
All right.
We're
not
gonna
born
get
yet.
we're gonna get to all that. I know she's from LA, but
Oh, yeah?
what I want to say to her, eye to eye, is that I'm very proud of you because
thank you.
I read up on you,
Yeah.
and you're the very first person in your family to graduate from a 4-year university.
Yes.
So
yes.
good for you.
Thank
I'm
you.
proud of you.
Where did you go to school?
I went to Loyola Marymount University.
LMU,
That's a great
the maroon and white.
Yes,
And-
I played softball there too.
Wow,
And
did
I
you
d-
really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you got a softball scholarship.
Yes. I
And what
did.
position did you play?
She played
in-
quarterback.
Wait a minute. Something's
In
wrong
college,
there.
I played outfield, center field, but growing up, I played catcher.
Put me in coach.
Yeah.
And let's get to that.
Program I got.
Let's start from the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
LA.
Yes.
How did you get started in radio?
I started as an intern at KISS FM.
Oh,
in
only
Los
that
Like
Angeles.
Rick D's Kiss FM?
Yes, while Rick Dees was still in the building. I was so afraid of him. Not that he did anything, but I was just afraid of
But
him.
how was that? Because KISS FM LA.
Yeah, and
that's-
Ryan Seacrest was actually the afternoon DJ on
I
the
remember.
Star.
I
98.7
completely remember.
Then. Yeah, that's when I
So
started.
those are iconic names,
Uh-huh.
obviously. What was it like to be in that station? Because that's not a small station. That's the biggest station in the country even today.
You know, I didn't really fully understand radio back then, so I don't think I understood how huge it was
The
to be there.
impact.
But I did grow up listening to them, so I thought that was really cool. Like one of the first DJs I worked for was JoJo on the radio, and I grew up listening to him, so I thought it was really cool. And I just loved radio, the atmosphere, the people. To this day, a lot of people that I met back then are some of my best friends, and they're all doing great things in the entertainment and other.
Do you know what's interesting is when radio's, and I hear you talk about radio, because radio for me was the same thing, because it is, you hear this thing in our business called theater of the mind.
Yes.
But listeners don't really hear those things, but when you're in the business, you hear that. And every person I've talked to that's a fan of radio, that's in radio, I should say everybody who works in radio at a high level was a huge fan of radio.
Yes.
I remember as a kid, of course, it was a little bit different because I was listening to Paul Harvey and Jonathan Dunrankin and talk radio when I was a kid. My dad used to listen to it as a house painter down in Chula Vista.
Yeah.
And I would listen to it, and my entire life, you always have this in your mind's eye, what it looks like in a radio studio. For me, it was a super dark room with a light bulb in the middle, much like
Right.
the Pogo radio station right now.
And for me, there was a Captain Zigzag poster with a black light over it.
No, honestly, and then you get there, and that's why what's interesting in this business is we do work with interns every single day.
Yeah.
And anytime you have a public sort of a live remote broadcast or anything, you better have the best interns on the planet, otherwise you're not going on the air.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Which is why now that you're at your spot, you look down and say, okay, this kid's trying to make it in radio, and you make it easy on them.
I love if we can promote from within, like the promotions assistants, the street team, the interns, because that's where I started, and that's where I look for up and coming talent for our show now, because I know how much work and how much effort you
got
put
them
in
right
it.
now.
And not everyone makes it past that stage, but it is a great learning experience.
So how did you get started? Because you're at KISS FM, you're an intern, but what happened? Like
While I was there?
Yeah, how did you get to that next step?
Well, I got the internship because one of my friends in college, he was interning for Gary Spears, who was a midday DJ, and he wanted to quit. And Gary told him he couldn't quit till he found a replacement. So then I just started the next day, and that's how I got the job.
And then what was the next?
Okay,
step?
wait a second. Hold on a second. Right there. But how many times have you heard that story?
You have to be
You know
there.
how I'm on talk radio? Roger Hedgecott got sick. I'm not kidding. I was a guest in the afternoon on some business thing, and Hedgecott got sick. When we have him on the show, I'll tell the story. And then whoever's there gets the gig. I mean, honestly, when your parents said 90% of life is showing up, when you're there, those opportunities happen. Correct?
I showed up. I started working the next day, and I loved it. Yeah, I literally started working the next day, and I was working on his show. And then as you're there, you get to know other people. And the promotions director came over and asked me when my internship was over. And he said, when your internship's over, if you want a job, come see me. So it was like...
You said, duh.
Yeah. I mean, I got free concert tickets. I got to go to, that was the first time I'd ever gone to a concert in my life, I believe. And so after my internship was over, I got hired on the street team. And then I just started hustling after that. And I was just made friends with everybody.
Was there one person in particular that believed in you that said, "Hey, I think that girl has it.
Yeah.
Let's put her on the air"?
I think there was a lot of people at KISS FM that did that, but it was John Ivey, who is the program director at KISS FM in LA. He pulled me into his office and he said, "Have you ever thought about being on the radio?" And at the time I was just on the street team, in the office work. And I said, "You mean like being on the radio?" He said, "Yeah." And
why I came here in the first place?
No, not really. He said, "Well, do you want to?" And I said, "Yeah."
Sure.
And he said, "Okay, well, give me an air check by tomorrow." And I said, "Sure." I had no clue what an air check was.
What is it?
I didn't know.
By the way, for our audience who doesn't know what an air check is, it's a miserable experience.
Oh, it's the worst.
It's when you have to hand back in the day, your cassette tape to your program director and sit there while they listen to it 3 seconds at a time.
Yes.
I
And
noticed
I didn't
this,
know what
yeah.
it was. And luckily, I'd made friends with a lot of producers. My promotions director at the time, I said, "Hey, John Ivey wants an air check. What do I do?" They literally sat me in the studio just as we were here, told me what to say, edited it. I didn't know how to edit. I didn't know how to do anything.
Right.
I gave it back to him. It's funny. He listened for like 10
That's
seconds.
all they
maybe.
listen to.
That's all you can tell in 10 seconds. You can tell.
Pretty much any audition tape, the first 10 seconds, if you don't nail it,
And
next.
then what did he say?
And
But what did he say after that?
He said, "All right, you're good. We'll use you when we need to." And so I started doing, at the time, a lot of the DJs wouldn't go out to events and do call-ins because they're kind of big time up there. Here we do it, but back there, over there, they didn't. So he's like, "Would you like to, for clients?" And I was like, $500 to be somewhere for 2 hours and do a call-in?
Yes.
Oh, no
Like,
kidding.
I
And
was
it-
just trying to pay my car payment.
All right, those are great
Yeah, so I
gigs,
started
too.
doing that, and then I started working. Again, I was that person that was around the station. If a DJ needed help with whatever, I would just do it. So I started tagging along with JoJo a lot on his show, and we would go to red carpets and do things like that. And then I worked on the Friday night party show with ODM from Lighter Shade of Brown.
Gosh,
and
how
then,
fun is that?
And then when they left they took Manny on the streets, who was from Ryan Seacrest's show, and they took him to
great.
no, they took him to Ryan Seacrest's show. I just slipped in and replaced him on JoJo's show because JoJo said he didn't want to look because he already knew I could do the
You
job.
know what? You're learning at the best radio station in the country. Now, when we come back after the break, will you tell us how Gina became Geena the Latina and
Yes.
how you got to San Diego?
Yeah, I know. That's a big
Absolutely.
story.
And I've worked with some other individuals with some great names that I want to share with you when we come back.
Okay.
I've only worked with like Russ, Nailz.
That's
Literally 25 years on the radio.
Little
Well, this
Tommy,
year with you.
Shotgun Tom, Kevin the Dead Dog Kid.
Gina.
On the air. Gina the Latina. You kidding me? Stand by.
You know,
You
I
adopted this place.
Fit
As
right
much as it
in.
I
adopted
adopted
you.
this place when I was like 10. I loved San Diego. I'm telling you, before Jesse had asked me to come audition, I had got like a Las Vegas, a few different markets that asked me to audition, and I was so hesitant about radio that I didn't even go audition. I know that sounds crazy, but at the time I was like, I don't want to.
Well, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah,
at
I
the
didn't,
time, right?
but San Diego, I always loved San Diego, so it was such an easy try. I had already been hitting up PB for years, been hitting up Mexico for years. It was like my second home already.
Yeah.
So for all the success you have right now, you have worked hard for it.
Thank
you
you.
have.
Thank you.
Now, how did you last those 14 years? Because your shows have changed, but there was always one common thing, and that's you.
Yeah.
How did that happen? Because that takes a lot of work for a program director. market manager to say, you know what, let's change that show, but
I'll agree.
we need to keep her.
Service is back. Hi, I'm Chubby Sykes. I'm the owner and operator of Sykes Service Center. Call us a gas station is like calling Dolly Parton a man. She's more than a man. She's a whoa man. And right now, while gas is only $1.14 a gallon, you can fill up and head off to anywhere you want. But probably gonna be closed. That's why this Saturday night I'm offering Sykes full, no bull super sale. I'll fill anything you bring in with high octane gasoline. Milk jugs, full, no bull. 40-gallon Yeti, full, no bull. 3-ring inflatable pool like the kids use, full, no bull. I'll tell you what, when I top off your tank, I'll also clean both windshields front and back, and I'll be happy as a pig in mud to check under your hood. I hardly recognize anything under there, but if I see a dead animal or a small fire, I'll fix it fast and free, because I'm Chubby Sykes. Come on down and see me at Sykes Super Service Center. More like the center of the universe.
Gina the Latina on the air. Sully, little Tommy, Rusty Nailz. Nailz, did you ever have to do an air check in your entire life?
Oh,
because back in the 80s,
That's horrible, huh?
Russ was big in the 80s, and now he's
Big and I'm 80.
big in his 80s.
Hey, what a great joke.
No, you're not.
No, I'm not. But yeah, air checks suck because the guy usually telling you that you're not funny isn't funny either. And you're like, how the hell would you get behind that desk? So I didn't take too much of it. If my partner laughed, then I knew it was kind of funny.
Yeah.
like when I worked with Rozzy the Aussie, which is similar to Geena the Latina. Rozzy the Aussie worked with me. And
that was in 91X.
Yeah.
I remember.
And I think you know, I worked with Maximilian the Brazilian. You got a shot? There he is.
Wow.
Are you single?
Idiot.
I'm just wondering. 'Cause anyway.
Maximilian the Brazilian.
Yeah. And the best fun I had, really, of all time, was with Herman the German. Herman, he's the one on the bottom. Every Oktoberfest was just a blast with these.
This is what you get paid for, huh?
With these radio parts. I stayed up late thinking of that stupid stuff.
Okay, question for Gina.
Yeah.
When did Gina become Geena the Latina? Because that's an iconic brand.
Yeah.
So I started working with the JoJo on the radio show at night. I would go do red carpets and things like that. And when John Ivy had first approached me, it was a time when there wasn't that many Latinos or Hispanics on the radio at all. Mm-hmm. And they at first used my last name, which is Aguilar, but it just didn't catch. And they wanted, and I'm just being honest, they wanted people to know I was Latino, but I didn't necessarily quote unquote sound
There's nothing
Latino,
wrong with that.
right? You know, and
Wow.
so that's why they used Aguilar, but it was just wasn't catchy. One of the DJs, Dave Styles, he says, "Why don't we just call you Geena the Latina? Because they want people to know you're Latina anyway."
And then bam.
So JoJo started calling me on the air as a joke, and
Yeah.
within, I'm telling you, a few days, John Ivy was like, "That's your name, Geena Latina."
How did you get little Tommy? I mean, how did the little Tommy thing?
Well, I was with Jeff and Jer in the
Never heard.
1988, and you know they're 6'1", 6'2", and I'm not.
Jeff's
And-
like 6'3" if he blow dries, though. He picks that thing up.
If he
and
had
then-
hair.
And also there was a little Tommy in Chicago with Tommy Edwards.
Okay.
Was his name. He was big time in the 60s and 70s, so we kind of borrowed that.
Yeah.
And it stuck.
That's it.
How did you happen to be Rusty? Was it
It's my dad's nickname. I'm a Russell Wilbur Joseph Stolnick Jr., so I was Rusty Screws and Springs and everything. He called me Rusty Nailz and 91X. I just spelled it weird because I hate my English
that was
teachers.
it?
And that was it.
When did you come to San Diego? What because typically in the world of radio, you would try to climb to get to a major market like LA, the number 2 market in the country.
Yeah.
But you got an opportunity here in San Diego, correct?
Yeah,
Talk about it.
I was just like the call-in girl, the street girl for JoJo, and Jesse, Boy Toy Jesse from Star 94, when he was working at KISS like part-time, and he's like, hey, and at the time he was on AJ's Playhouse here in San Diego.
I remember AJ.
And he said, hey, we're auditioning girls. I really think you should audition. And at the time, I wasn't even convinced that radio was, at the time, it was still fun. Like, I was just going for
this is
free
a
concert
hobby?
tickets.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, I didn't know the radio was going to be my thing. But I was like, I love San Diego. I've been coming to San Diego all growing up. I love San Diego State. All my friends went to college there. I was like, sure, why not?
Yeah.
And I came down here and auditioned. I didn't even have headphones. I never really sat in a real studio. I mean, with JoJo a little bit, but we're not in LA. You're not even allowed to go in the studios. And I auditioned, and the program director at the time, he called me that day and said, "You're hired," and I was moved down here by like the next week.
And that's it.
And that was it. And I've been here 14 years.
The best part is that look, for we we grew up here, but of course, and even. Because I can tell when somebody's from here and not from here.
Yeah.
I thought 100% you were from here.
You know,
you adopted this place as much as it adopted you.
I adopted this place when I was like 10. I loved San Diego. I'm telling you, before Jesse had asked me to come audition, I had got like Las Vegas, a few different markets that asked me to audition, and I was so hesitant about radio that I didn't even go audition. I know that sounds crazy, but at the time I was like, I don't want to.
Well, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, but San Diego, I always loved San Diego, so it was such an easy try. I had already been hitting up PB for years, been hitting up Mexico for years. It was like my second home already.
Yeah.
So for all the success you have right now, you have worked hard for it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, how did you last those 14 years? Because your shows have changed, but there was always one common thing, and that's you.
Yeah.
How did that happen? Because that takes a lot of work for a program director, market manager to say, you know what, let's re-up, let's change that show, but we need to keep her.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So why are all those decisions made with you still there?
Why do I think, or do I? Because I don't know what their actual answer is.
What do you think you know?
But I think I've always been a fan of learning, even to this day. I don't think you can stop learning. So every co-host and I'm so thankful to all of them. I just keep learning and learning and learning. Like, I didn't know how to edit at all until I got here. I taught myself how to edit. I taught myself how to do everything. I taught everything. And so I guess the answer would be, I don't know. I really feel like I'm a hard worker, and that was instilled in me since a little girl. So whatever it is, I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to learn how to do it. And I just stayed here, and I love San Diego so much. San Diegans have been so good to me from the second I moved here.
My question for you, and obviously, I mean, your radio show is iconic. I mean, when you really think about some of the people that are in San Diego that are literally household name radio, you're one of the first ones that comes up.
Plus, it's a fun name to say.
Yeah,
It
no
is.
kidding.
It's easy for people to remember.
But so what has it been like? How are you holding up during COVID? I mean, I can tell you personally, I do all of my Kogo stuff from my kitchen table.
Oh, wow.
I do all of my KUSI hits from my kitchen table, except for this. We're in the Jump Television studios here. But are you in studio? Are you at home? And what's it feel
We've been
like?
in the studio the entire time. There's no one else around.
There's nobody, I mean, it's a ghost town in that building, right?
Yeah, and me and Frankie were on the same page on that. If one of us wasn't on the same page, then we probably wouldn't. But our producer's super clean, so he cleans everything up. So we've been in the studio
Well, plus
the
those
entire
studios
time.
you guys are
Are
probably
pretty
12 feet
big.
apart.
Yeah. And it would be for us. It's easier to do it from there at home. We were prepared to go at home should we needed to, but. We've been there the
What
entire
about your
time.
listener base? Are the listeners, is it
I
different?
feel like no one's listening to us. I don't know, though.
Because they're all listening to Kogo for news.
Yeah, they're all listening to
do I go?
news, and it's a different time, and everyone that's working from home is not waking up so early and driving, so we understand it's different. The calls have been a little bit slower.
Oh, that's right. I didn't think about that.
Yeah,
that's right.
so a lot like the data that I saw was that they're listening now 9 to 4 to FM versus in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
I keep telling my boss just put us on at 9 so I can wake up later and put us on at 9 but they don't want to change
You do a
anything.
9 to noon gig, you do a morning show.
But we're just hanging in there, trying to stay socially connected. I think that's really important during that time, like Instagram and Facebook and all that.
Who do you have on the show? Okay, obviously you, Geena the Latina.
Yeah.
My friend Frankie V, right
Frankie
there
V.
with you.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure your producer, Chris Martinez.
Yes.
I think he's one of the best in the country.
He is.
Tell me about Chris.
He worked with me at KISS FM in LA on the street team.
Made
We
the
were on the
move.
street team together, and then he was kind of moving up in iHeartRadio and worked at the theater. And when we finally got a budget to hire a producer, he had never produced a show, but I know how hard he works, and I knew how great he was. So I convinced him to move down here, and he's like, I don't even know how to run the board at this point or whatever. I said, don't worry, I'll teach you everything. And I remember after his first day, he was like, what did you do to me? But by 1 week, he had it done. And in my opinion, he's one of the best producers.
And you also have a young woman named Jess.
Yes.
She reminds me of you.
She is great.
Tell me about her.
I love her because she's so authentic and so real. She doesn't try to be anybody other than herself, and I think that's what listeners love. And I think I've always just been. It's too hard for me to be fake. So what you see is what you get, and I think she's
We have a similar brand.
Yeah.
I've always known that.
and it's with her too, and she's so happy. She's like the happiest person. I need her.
Well, could
energy
you
in the
imagine
morning.
having Geena the Latina as your mentor?
Yeah, I can.
We got to
Gina,
give Jess a
We
nickname.
need to have you
now.
back again. I think you'd be the only guest we've ever brought back twice.
Oh,
It was
wow.
fantastic.
That'd be awesome.
Gina,
That'd be
the
awesome.
Latina, channel 933. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to be able to hang out with you. Now I know the backstory when I see her in the hollers. All right.
More fun than Herman the German.
Speaking of more fun,
we've really enjoyed that.
got more fun with us on the air coming up. All right, on the air is on the air. Great to have you on. Thanks to Geena the Latina for showing up.
Like us somewhere.
Rusty Nailz.
What?
Just introducing you.
Oh, sorry. I thought it was a question time.
Yes.
Don't
So ready to go, Bob.
sound like you're defensive. Little Tommy Sablon from the National Radio Hall of Fame, the only producer in the Hall of Fame. Rusty Nailz, Emmy Award winner. I have a certificate of achievement for something somewhere.
You were a crossing guard in 6th grade. No one
didn't
died.
know. I wasn't. Billy Hicks and John
What?
Tefelsky.
They-
I didn't make it.
Oh, I'm
oh
so
no!
sorry
They
to
dropped
rip-
me like a.
Golly. Yeah.
I won't even tell you. The
Don't.
3-foot putt.
Right.
There you go.
Wow.
Look who's here. Anna Laurel is
Yes.
here. Evening anchor for KUSI.
First
Oh,
time I
evening
met this
anchor.
young lady,
You've
by
never
the way.
met? Oh, my
Never
goodness.
met her.
No.
I kid. I've been on there with you a lot of times.
Yeah.
But never in the hot seat with you, because you're always on the big set. I like
Yeah.
going on the big set. They don't
I
often
don't always
let
put
me
you
go.
there. I
No,
do the top tier interviews, Sully.
I know,
so-
which is why.
What does that say?
I want like.
That's why I've never
it.
met her and you've never been interviewed.
As they
by
walk,
her.
in, you're like, I want to go on that set, and then they push over.
Not
She
tonight.
weighs.
But you are right. She is in the big chair.
She's in the
She's
big
on
chair.
KUSI News.
Yeah.
You know, interviewing big names,
Well, every-
Yeah.
newsmakers. How did you get to San Diego? Where are you from? You're a Southern girl, right?
I am a Southern girl, so now I'm a Southern California girl.
There you go.
I'm from South Carolina, but my dad's a pastor, so we lived kind of everywhere for a
Yeah, huh?
while.
You don't have a South Carolina accent.
Yeah, I'm not supposed to.
Didn't you do a little time?
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Did you work on it?
No, you know what? I went to school. I started college at the University of Virginia, and all of my friends that I was hanging out with were from the Northeast. And so I would just kind of emulate them to make fun of them or to not mock them, but I thought it was funny how they sounded.
Next thing you know?
And the next thing you know, I was losing it slowly.
Do you say y'all?
Of course.
Fixin'?
Yeah, that's what happens. So,
Fixin'.
Jared Coleman, our assistant director, who's from Texas, you wouldn't know it until.
Couple.
Y'all.
Yeah, a couple.
Maybe a couple
until,
beers
until
in,
after a couple.
he starts hankering for things. I
Yeah,
don't know
he
what
does.
hankering is.
He'll say y'all.
Of course. I text y'all.
Yeah.
All y'all.
Oh,
All
there
y'all.
you go.
Yeah.
So did you always know you were going to be a big television news star? Like, how did that start?
I think because my dad is a pastor, he was going on mission trips to the other part of the world back before you could update your Instagram
Yeah,
feed and show the
sure.
pictures. And so my mom at night would always be watching the news to make sure where he was had not
Yeah.
exploded or earthquake or whatever,
scary.
right? So
right.
I always watched the news growing up and I loved it. I like to be connected. I like to see the big world out there. And so that's what I wanted to
What
do.
did you major in college?
Journalism.
Oh, yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So you were going there. You were heading that way from the very
Yes.
beginning.
Yes.
You did a little time in Raleigh on TV?
I did.
Raleigh?
Russ.
Raleigh, North
What?
Carolina.
Didn't do time.
It felt like that at the time.
She started her career.
Raleigh. Well, bless your heart, Bob. Bless
You
your
did a
heart.
little time down at
Bless
Donna's.
your heart.
Bless
I
your heart,
did.
Bobby. You mean so well.
I did.
Uh-huh.
I wasn't, you know what, I went back to Raleigh because it was for ABC News, the network. It was going to be
Yeah.
a big deal. But I had spent all of my adult time from the time I finished college back out west, out here. California, Arizona, Montana. So when I went back to North Carolina, I decided East Coast is not for me.
And I see you spent some time on the gateway to Gilroy, Fresno.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gateway to Gilroy, Fresno.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gilroy, the garlic. place.
Yeah, it's up that way. Well, it's Central
yeah.
Valley and all that stuff.
Fresno's known as the gateway to Gilroy.
Yeah, I just
I've
said
never
that.
heard of that.
No, I just
Isn't
made it up.
Fresno known as Fresno?
What I was impressed with is in Phoenix when you worked there, you did some Super Bowl coverage.
Yeah.
You did some pretty good stuff in
I
Phoenix.
slid down a water slide on live TV.
You know what? I looked for that video and I. Chris,
let's
did we
roll
get
that.
There it is.
Here it is, rare footage. Anna Laurel doesn't quite fit that. Yeah, that had to hurt.
The microphone guy was mad about that. But otherwise, it was a great
But
show.
yeah, that's good.
So how did you eventually come to San Diego? What was the
Well, I met my
journey?
husband in Fresno. So we were back and forth when I was in Raleigh, and then we just wanted to come back west. So we were coming back to California anyway, and he started a company here in San Diego. So
You want to give
Yeah,
it a
it's
plug?
kinda-
Can we
it's
get?
kinda vague.
Or would you? I mean, I would love to plug
well,
it.
it's a medical company. It's for people with autoimmune disorders. It's a special kind of
What
treatment.
a better time to be in the biopharma business.
I know,
right?
I know. I mean, the stuff he's dealing with is like plasma and that kind of stuff.
Oh
So,
boy.
yeah.
The what's interesting about it's interesting when you step in as an anchor in a new city. Suddenly, you have to know everybody.
Everything that's
And
going on,
everything.
and the past, and the history, and,
And
everything.
pronunciation.
And you have to act like that you've always been there. Like words like El Cajon
That's
and
right.
La Jolla
Yeah.
and
That's
Kumeyaay
right.
Nation and
Hucumba.
and Hucumba
Hot
and
Springs.
Hamashaw Road and all of those
That's
things.
right.
How did you do that?
Look
would
at her. She
text
looks like
Tommy.
San Diego.
You do look
Absolutely,
like
yeah.
San Diego.
I would text Tommy, call Tommy, and ask him.
Yeah. How do you say this one?
You
He's the
realize that
best
we
producer.
call it the 805, right?
Always
the five.
the.
Okay.
Because I knew that from Phoenix, the 10, the
Right,
51,
right.
the 17.
Right.
Then when I went back to Raleigh and I would say, yeah, I took the something, they were like, what are you talking about?
Oh yeah. What are you talking about?
What are
Wait,
y'all
but
talking
going back to your first job on television, how did you get it? Like,
In Montana?
yeah, was it hard to get it? Like, do you in radio?
I was
you
just
send it-
sending out tapes,
You send out tapes.
Wow.
Yes. And then I had a job interview the same day for a little station in Meridian, Mississippi, and one in Montana. And I really wanted the one in Montana because when on earth would I ever go there? Mississippi seemed doable. Montana seemed
Yeah.
not doable. So that's what I wanted to do.
How'd you like driving in Montana?
I thank God I didn't kill anybody.
Right.
Why? 'Cause of
Sliding
snow?
through the
It's
snow and
icy,
ice.
yeah.
Yes. I drove to Montana in my Volvo station wagon.
They're safe.
And left with a tank top and shorts on and pulled into Montana in a snowstorm and basically just slid down a mountainside into town and leveled off, and I stopped, and that's where I
I'm living.
lived for 2 years.
We've asked this before. How do news anchors go from one city to the next?
Then you just keep sending out. So I went to Phoenix for a spring training trip with a bunch of friends because
Right.
it's March and it's still blizzarding in Montana. So we went to Phoenix to be in the warm. And so I just emailed a bunch of news directors to see would anybody meet with me. Now, I'm was working in a little tiny town in Montana. This is Phoenix, a big, huge city.
Yeah.
They're big time. And so one news director said, sure, I feel sorry for you, come by.
Right.
And he eventually hired me about 9 months later.
And
happened.
here's the other thing I want to know about news is because radio is a different deal. Radio, we're stuck in a room and it's dark, and you've got. I mean, typically you're looking down like this, and it used to be with the newspaper because before internet.
And you don't have to control your facial reactions
at all.
when you're interviewing
well, that's
someone.
and the thing is, many times you have to go on the street. And when they have storm watch here in San Diego when it sprinkles.
Oh, you got to go. You're in the rain. I'm in the rain.
But do you prefer being the ringleader?
Yeah.
Versus being out there.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
How come?
Because I like to be shifting the gears.
Oh, I see.
I like to be the one that's navigating, driving the ship.
Not covering the cat show at the convention center.
I don't mind covering the cat show. I actually would love that. But
Yeah.
I like to have my fingers in everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
kind of be in, okay, let's go this way. And I would get bored with one story a day. I
Right,
need
right.
to have
Oh,
them
that's
all.
right.
Is that
The
how they do
interview,
that?
the package you got to put together. It's like 8 hours on this. I really don't care about it, but yeah, I know how that goes. Well, you look like a San Diegan, sound like a San Diegan.
Good.
Right off the beach. I understand you did a little cocktailing at a beachfront place in
Were you a
Israel?
waitress?
In Israel, yeah.
Natanya.
A waitress
wait
in
a
Israel?
minute.
Well,
Natanya,
yeah.
look at it. It's beautiful
Oh my God.
beachside
Wait a minute.
right there.
Gorgeous.
How'd you go from Montana and Raleigh and now
That
you're in
was when
Israel?
after high school, my parents took us for the summer to Israel.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved it. Oh my gosh. I had never been.
Is it like people say the weather's like San Diego?
Yeah.
Is
no,
it really?
Don't you meet a lot of people from the Middle East here in California? It's
Yeah.
because it's just like it.
Yeah.
Looks like it, feels
kidding.
like it. Yeah.
Wow.
And so
That's
Natanya
great.
is a beautiful, and that's actually where we stayed. And we went all over the country because it's tiny. But and so my parents had friends in Israel. So after my freshman year of college, I went back. And I stayed a long time.
Yeah, you did. Natanya.
Anna Laurel. Wow.
How about that?
I want to hear. So then we're gonna get into the nitty gritty.
Yes.
How do you balance being a mom, a new mom, with a career?
There you go.
There they are. Look at that.
See, look how happy she is with her dad. And look at her.
It's fantastic.
Right.
Going to work.
So
Russ has
neat.
that shirt too. I like that. All right. On the air. Sully, Little Tommy, Rusty Nailz, and the inimitable Anna Laurel. Stand by because we're going to find out how an actual working mom handles life on the air and at home during a pandemic.
Hey, this is Jack Nicholson leaving a message for little Tommy here on Skype message board, whatever. I'm sequestered, trying to avoid the problem from Chinatown. Someone need a Batman. It's a little joke. Anyway, you tell Tommy that I called. He's a great man, does a lot for his community, and well, he likes terms of endearment. I could go on for hours, but I got to run in a little bit. But he mentioned something about a broadcast news thing. He's doing a new show. Looks like it's On the Air with Sully, Little Tommy, and Rusty Nailz. Boy, out of those three, I think we know which one flew over the cuckoo's nest. Right? I'm about to lose it, man. I'm taking off now. Got an anger management class. Got man trouble, man. And tell Paul Rudy thanks for the hat, man.
Hey, look who's in studio. Anna Laurel. Of course, Rusty Nailz, a Little Tommy. It's On the Air. Great to have you.
Question
Yeah.
Here it comes.
to Anna Laurel.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
You're on television
Okay.
daily. Thousands of people watch KUSI News and you. When you're out just hanging out with your family, does it bug you that people go, oh my God, there's that. There's
No.
that.
You're basically
there's that."
Elvis in this town. I mean, you are
If
so
that would
visible.
bug me, if that would bug somebody, I mean, seriously, think about it.
Wouldn't
Get
have
out
the
of
job.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I love to talk to people. I love for people to come up and talk to me.
I wish I.
Oh, you're such a goof out there.
Right.
Be high.
See, we had a guest one time on the air one time, and it was and then she wrote a book. What was it? It was networking for people who hate networking.
That's you.
Oh,
And I said you should have
is that
saved.
you?
You should have saved the ink and just called it Sully. I'm just not good at
Really?
it.
Well, you know what? I will tell you this though. If somebody comes up to me and they're like, "Gosh, I feel like I know you from somewhere," and I'm just like,
Yeah, I do the same thing.
and they'll say, "Do I? Gosh, have we met?" And I just always, I never say.
See, when I get it,
If somebody knows me
Yeah.
and we talk about it, great. But
I get
I've
that.
never.
And they usually figure out, oh, yeah, it was cops.
That's right. That's right.
So what's it like being on the news during all this?
Yeah, during COVID. Yeah. No
It
kidding.
was, you know what, at the beginning it was really emotionally taxing. It really was, because I felt for the people who, I mean, we're watching people's lives be destroyed right now.
Still happening, yeah.
Yes, that's hard. And especially and it was new and where it was very frightening and it was really difficult the first few weeks. But now I feel like we have a job and I've always felt this way, to help walk people through it, right? But now really to also give them the information to empower them.
Yes.
So that somebody else doesn't take the power from
How
them.
do you? And I've asked this of Lauren Finney. I've asked this of Mark Mathis. When you are interviewing somebody, and they're not your favorite person. See, on talk radio,
Her smile gets perfect.
because on talk radio,
I love that.
that's what they pay me for, is to just put the wood to the person, like,
Yeah, I love that.
But you're good. You're good at holding your. I mean, you're really
Very
Southerner.
diplomatic.
You're really steady.
I'm a Southerner.
I mean, how
number
do you
one.
deal with that when you're just thinking,
Wow.
this guy is a jackwagon, and
I'd really like to reach over and slap.
You know what? Because I've interviewed people and they'll lie to you about something,
And you can
and you
tell.
don't know at the time.
Oh, you don't.
And then I found out later, like especially a politician, right? And then when they
Especially.
come back, now I'm ready.
Yeah.
And now I'll never believe it.
Go ahead and give me 3 names right now. 'Cause I'd like to-
I can give you 3.
I can look up
She
one.
will give us those 3 names.
Starts with an F.
That's right.
Let's see.
My question for you is what's the biggest name? We asked this of everyone. What's the biggest name you interviewed?
Oh my
because,
gosh. I've had
because
some
you know
big
after
ones.
it's
I
only-
interviewed John McCain
Did you really?
when I was in
That's a big one.
Arizona.
Sure.
That's a big one.
That's
he was
a
running
huge
for
one.
president. He and Sarah Palin.
Are they lovely? Are they?
Yeah.
Or some of them aren't lovely?
No, he was.
Okay.
How
He
about
was, and
Sheriff
so is Sarah.
Arpaio?
Arpaio,
Is it?
yeah.
Arpaio?
Joe Arpaio.
Arpaio, he was a hoot and a half.
I bet.
I interviewed him. He was a very nice guy.
Character, yeah.
He's much nicer.
You guys, I have the funniest story. So I pitched to. I was living in Fresno, and I had something going on in May, which is May sweeps. You cannot take time off in May. So I pitched to my boss, look, can I go? We were letting people out of jails in Fresno as soon as they committed a crime. You could get back out. They don't do that in Phoenix. Arpaio did not. So I said, why don't I go down to Phoenix and do the story with Arpaio and make the connection with him and our sheriff?
You just happen to have spent a couple days in Scottsdale while you're down there.
And so he says that's a great idea. I said I've already booked my flight. I'm going. And so I go down. Well, guess what? I don't have a photographer, but I do have my best friend who's from Arkansas and talks like this.
Yeah.
So cute. She's about 5 feet tall, and she was my photographer that day. They took us to Tent City, in where the people are.
Yeah.
Then when we go to Arpaio's office to interview him, my girlfriend, who has never used a little camera before, is leaning against like the wall to hold herself steady.
Awesome.
He keeps looking over at her and goes, now tell me again what you're doing. Because see, I worked there before. He knew me from Phoenix, from working at NBC.
Oh, good.
So he goes, tell me again what this is for, Anna. I kept having to tell him, but he did not believe us because it did not look real. But it was.
Anna,
Did the package air?
Oh yeah,
It
it
was
was
good enough?
great.
Got
It was
up
really
there?
good.
Good.
Anna, so you are the mom of an 18-month-old?
15.
15 months.
Don't age her.
Well,
It's
the
going
point-
by so
Oh,
fast.
I know it
I
does.
bet.
But what'll they get? Me, Tommy, and Russ all own millennials at this point. So yeah, it goes by really quick. But how do you deal with that work schedule? Because it's
not easy.
You're not a 9-to-5er.
No.
And people,
It's hard.
that's easy. It's not that easy.
No,
You can't
because
just
then
show
at
up.
night, oh my God, the first year. Thank God to my boss who was so patient. But I mean, yeah, I leave and I go and quickly tuck her into bed, kiss her, all these things, but I don't want her to feel the stress of the moment, right? That I'm in a rush. I never want her to feel like there's a rush, even though there's a mad rush.
It's a yard sale.
That's
behind the
right.
scenes.
That's right. That's right.
So I've always wondered that because you start at 4, you guys end at 7, and then you come back for the 10 o'clock. So from 7 to 10.
So at 7, I rush home as quick as I can, and I've gotten so many speeding tickets here in San Diego. Why?
What
Anyway,
community do you live in?
I live up in Carmel Valley.
So
in
when
Carmel Valley. Okay.
when they pull
Where?
you over, do you cry or anything?
No, but I'm like, one time, honestly, I had just come back from maternity leave, and the guy was like, I'm driving beside you. What are you doing? I'm trying to pace everybody. I said, look, I'm so sorry. I'm just coming back to work. I've just had a baby. My mind is not even on the road.
Did he buy it? Did he buy it?
He was like, why would you tell me that?
My mind is not on the road.
Okay, that's another ticket.
I'm not
And I
thinking about
I had
driving.
curlers in my hair, big curlers. That's how I drive to work.
Oh, I bet.
Are you in your perfect spot right now? I mean, is this your dream spot?
Yeah,
or is
I love it.
Or is it
Diego,
4 a.m. to
baby.
10 a.m.? I mean, 'cause look at.
I did that for years.
Did you like that also?
No.
'Cause you gotta get
This
kids
is what
in.
it was. When KUSI, we've been talking for years. And so when I was leaving Raleigh, they said, look, we want to do a morning show in the afternoon. And see, I love a morning show format, but I hate morning show hours.
Because you have to get up yesterday.
And I had told them that before because we talked about me doing a morning show. I'm like, I just hate morning show hours. I just can't do it.
Yeah.
I slept like 2 hours when I did a morning show. And so when they said, this is what we're doing, I said, okay, well, let's talk. That made sense.
Wow.
Anna Laurel is our guest on the air. I can tell you do a great job.
Great.
But the other part of it though is just because being on the other side of the TV, watching, it's just amazing how you prep. Because in talk radio, this is how we prep.
Yeah, we're prepping.
We're
right
on the
now.
break.
Yeah.
Right?
We do that too.
Yeah.
No, how do you do it though? Honestly, because people must ask you all the time, how do you know so much about everything? And you have one guest, you have Mayor Faulkner, then you have Lorena Gonzalez, then you have Alan Ginn, the economist, and then you have a sports figure. How do you do all that?
Well, now with all the social media stuff, you can look up somebody's tweets, their Instagram, in seconds.
Yeah.
You know?
I didn't do that with you at all.
I like that list
I knew
you've
all
got.
about
That's
you. I
pretty
knew all
good.
about you before.
So are you constantly prepping though? Is it a full time?
Yeah.
Like what you always have the because I know for me, if I'm in the people have to ask me a business question, and I get zero notice when you're going to go on somewhere. And I'm always just like scanning for that. I'm not actively scanning, but it just somehow pops up and I realize, oh, look, the Dow Jones is down 500, or whatever, that thing. Is that sort of the same for you? Are you always a newsie?
Yeah.
Once a newsie, always a newsie.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. And you're always, you know what to look for, and you're seeing things that are popping up. So, and after, it's just conversation. You have to be into it. You have to be wanting to know what's going on in the world. So then you can carry on just an easy conversation with somebody about it.
I believe you don't just start yelling at someone. You're an idiot. I can't believe
No, I mean, that's the thing.
Or even get so emotional about a story. Have you ever felt yourself tearing up?
Sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, but you never do, though. I mean, that's so good.
A little bit. I can
see
see.
you guys are rock solid. I'm
Some
sitting there,
emotion
I'm
will
like
rise to
crying
the-
at a Hallmark commercial
Yeah, yeah.
on the break, and you guys are holding it together. Anna, you got to come back and play
Yeah.
with us.
Okay, I will. I want to.
Yes.
Listen, with Anna Laurel, our guest here today on the air, and I'll tell you what, it's a pleasure having you here, and I really would like to.
Yeah, let's
get
do
on
it
the-
again.
I would
Let's
like to
do
get
it.
on the big set.
That's
at
great.
some point.
I'll
Next
talk
time
to
I get-
somebody about
when I
it.
come, when I come in.
Yeah, can we sit on the big set
I want to
someday?
get on the big set.
We'll see.
I want to sit up here. Oh, see?
Very diplomatic.
See, she.
Smiling. Bless
She's
your
the
heart.
one. There we
Bless
go.
y'all's heart.
Bless your heart.
All right, that does it for us. Chris Yannick is our director. Jared Comer, our assistant director. Curtis Matovich, our editor, our floor director, our composer, our keeper of keys, and from whom all blessings flow. RussIsFunny.com because.
MarkMathis.com was taken.
There you go.
All right.
Well, Tommy, Hall of Famer. I'm Sully. See you next time.